Awesome. So Dominic, you have a lot of real estate investing experience. Do you mind sharing a quick example of a deal in the past that you actually never met the seller and how you coordinated that for a minute, and why we thought this was so important for us to share today?
A deal where I didn't meet the seller. I had a gal, actually one of my first deals that I did with you was somebody who was out of state. Thinking about it now. So I happened to be calling KSL and saw somebody's ad, picked up the phone. We can't turn your camera on, otherwise I'll show you a picture.
Yeah, I just
Anyways,
thought about
picked
it.
up the phone, and as I talked to the person, I identified that they were from California, and they had bought the property, I think even at an auction. There it is. Pick up the, what does the F and the dot mean?
Keep going.
Pick up the freaking phone. I like that. So anyways, the seller was from California. They put in an ad in KSL. And after talking with them, realized that they had bought it and they were either going to flip it or sell it for retail. So what made this so dynamic is I was able to put it under contract via, I think it was, gosh, do we even do it through DocuSign? Either way, we put it under contract with them being out of state. And we were able to negotiate a better deal over based on us knowing more about our state and some of the challenges coming into selling a property in wintertime, and some other things that we knew about the property because of our experience. So with that being said, yeah, that's one deal. There's another deal that I did.
Hold on.
Oh,
Let's talk about this for a second.
You want to stop now? Okay.
No. So as we're getting panelists to jump in this call, here's a couple of things that are important. There's 3 outcomes that we want you guys to write down. So what we're going to have you guys do is Yanel, Lynette, Jordan, Harry Payne, Dean, Danlo, Bryce Lucido, let's see, Amy, and whoever else is on their phone. I want you guys to type in what is your main objective you guys want to accomplish, learning about how to negotiate with sellers over the phone. Because I need to understand what you guys want to learn to make this the most interactive. I am missing my 7-year-old's baseball tournament right now that he is playing in a tournament. They win, they go to the next game tomorrow. So I need to have a lot of value for you guys. So I need you guys to jump in the chat bar, show your eyeballs. Bryce, what's up, Dan Lou? I love your hair. Need to see Bryce's face. I need to see Dean's face, Jordan Karchner, Harry Payne, Lynette Tomlinson, Yanel Hernandez, Amy Rios. I need to see your guys' eyeballs. Let's just get as many people on here. And the reason why is as Dominic's going to answer this question in a minute, I need you guys to type in the toolbar, what is the one thing you guys want to learn? So type this in. Let's make this engaging. Last week, I spent 7 days going to Tony Robbins' Business Mastery virtually. Okay, it started at 7:30 every morning here in Utah. It ended between 8 p.m. and one night it went to 11 p.m. That was a lot of freaking Tony Robbins, okay? And they had 2,500 people on the call. So what's cool is as I'm watching this view right now, then I'm going to modify it as I can see Yanel and Bryce is sitting in a car, and Dean's like, man, I wish I had Matt's hair. And as you guys are all jumping in and getting engaged, me seeing your guys' eyeballs gives me the motivation to keep having these calls for free. What's up, Jordan? Because my wife would rather me be at home. What's up, Greta and Dell? Greta, you get a haircut? Did you shave the side of your head? Oh, cow, dude. I'm going to pull that back like Dan Liu. All right, so the point I'm sharing this with you is I need to know what the number one outcome you guys want to learn in this chat bar, and I've had one person participate. So what is your main objective that you guys want to get in the next 1 hour and 55 minutes so I can teach you guys how to negotiate with sellers? This is a high level skill that if you learn to develop and take down notes, you're going to get better. So Lynette said, I'm new. What should I know? Good. I can turn on a camera in a few minutes. That's fine. So Dan and Dean and Jordan and Yanel and Bryce and Greta and Charlie and Andrea and all these other people on the call, please just type in what you're really wanting to listen to, because negotiating is important. Why I like this photo, you guys can see this photo. I got this photo, I think, 3 or 4 years ago for my team's Christmas party. And they gave me this photo because it is so important to pick up the effing phone. Having engaging conversations, communicating with people is going to really be helpful for you guys to get that. So here's a question. How many of you guys would like to buy properties? And I want you guys to use your emoji, emojis on here. You guys have emojis or should have one. How many of you guys want to be able to buy properties from sellers directly? So type in the chat bar, raise your hand. At least we have an idea, because that's the whole point of learning from this, right? I'm just a rookie. I want to absorb. Okay, good. Strategy. My strategy has always been appointments. I always feel like there has to be the face-to-face value. But then I see people killing it doing deals virtually. Good. We're going to talk about that. Navigating the stall to yes. That's what Dell said too, Greta, to you. So the point in sharing this with you is, first tip, if you guys want to write this down, I'm going to share a lot of different tips. PUTFP, pick up the freaking phone. A book I would suggest to listen to is Sell Like a Lion, Sound Like a Lamb. Sell Like a Lion, Sound Like a Lamb by Tom Hopkins. So if you guys want to get better at selling or how to deliver information, there's some Tom Hopkins info. Okay? So we're going to do a quick exercise. We're going to unmute a couple of you guys, then I'm going to share this information for you because of this lady's PUTFP. So let's unmute Harry real quick. Go ahead and unmute Harry. Harry, what do you think your time is worth when you are talking to clients over the phone? So Harry, what do you think your time is worth when you are talking to clients over the phone? He's going to jump in. He's like, Jolly Labali, I got to figure out what's my time worth. So unmute yourself, Harry. What is your time worth when you're talking to clients doing deals? He's still muted. Can you guys hear him? Oh, that's weird. I can't hear him. He's not speaking. Can you hear him, Dominic?
Yeah, you should be hear me now.
Oh, there we go. We
There
gotta
we
get
go.
off the shore. We gotta get off the shore to get the little Frenchies. All right, go ahead, Colonel Mustard. How much do you think you're gonna make per hour when you're making phone calls? Give me a 30-second version, please.
Per hour, it's gonna be pushing $100 an hour. And if you want the 30-second version, that's because if you are on the phone for an hour, you're gonna dial 50 people. You're gonna speak to decent discussion with 5. Every 30 or so, you'll actually have a good quality discussion that you could potentially actually get an appointment off of. So that's really saying your appointment's worth about $300-400, which is probably about right.
Cool. All right, so let's break that down real quick, okay? So if all of you guys want to grab a calculator, we're going to take $100 an hour, okay? If you're really good, times 40, times 50, because you're not all going to work. That's $200,000 an hour. Sorry, $200,000 a year, okay? Which is fantastic. So an outcome or a solution that I would share with you is, if you have your list of whoever you guys are going to call, I would have someone call and set the appointments for you. Tip number 1, have someone else call and set the appointments for you. Have a very basic script, so then you're going to have a warm lead. So, for example, I've had someone call and set appointments with me for the presidents of the different RIAs on a national basis. I've been able to keep 8 of 9 appointments. 8 of 9 appointments, they've all kept the appointment. It's been very engaging. I got a lot of feedback of what is happening in the real estate market in other parts of the United States. It was definitely worth. I budgeted 15 minutes, 20 minutes for each phone call. Some have only gone 20 minutes, some have gone 30 minutes because they were just willing to share. So that's a great example. Pick a different example. So here's the comment. How much do you guys want to make a year? I want you guys to write that down, type it in the chat. Either one, I want you to hold accountable. Dominic's going to write this as a question of what do you want to make a year? And then what you're going to do is you're going to break it down by 50 weeks, divided by 40 hours per week. Obviously, some people work more, like I do. And then you're going to have a good idea of what you're going to make, okay? So what do you want to make per year is the question, and we've got to quantify what those skills are. So, for example, it doesn't matter what my goals are. It matters what your goals are. My goal this year is to make $5.1 million in revenue. Okay, I'm short of that due to different reasons. But as I'm focusing on my time, I know when I'm going to follow up, what I'm going to do, and other things like that. That's why I try to chat with you and give you guys a lot of value in a short amount of time to help you out. So here's our 3 outcomes for tonight. Number 1, you're going to get a lot of sales training, tons. Like as I went over this presentation, I'm like, holy shit, this is going to be really good, because I don't normally teach other people how to do this. I teach my team every Tuesdays from 8:30 to 9. Okay, number 2, we're going to go over specific objections on seller financing or buying properties from sellers, and we're focusing on not seeing their eyeballs face to face, because right now people are so busy or not moving out of their house or not leaving. We're going to talk about some different outcomes. Number 3 is you guys are going to have some action items to actually make some progress, and I'm going to offer a class that my team did not know till I said right now. I'm going to actually do a boot camp specifically on how to utilize these skills. The last time I taught this boot camp was with Dominic and Derek, and they ended up coming working on my team full time. So that's something that we don't normally do, but it's a paid boot camp for you guys to get some skills. So with that being said, you guys will get some different ideas with this, and I'm going to share now. I need to get the host disabled, the participant screen sharing. So if you guys can give me access to share my screen, that would be awesome. So there's the 3 outcomes we're going to look for. Take a bunch of notes. I'm going to randomly pick some of you guys to jump off script, because as we do that, then we're able to help you out. And then we're also able to give you guys different skills to pay the bills, because that's what we're looking for, okay? So you guys are watching this. Here's what's important. As we're focusing on closing the deal without meeting the seller. So there's 3 challenges without meeting the seller. I'm going to give solutions up front right now. Number 1, they may be concerned with COVID, okay? They may be concerned with COVID, and they don't want to meet you face-to-face. So what I want you guys to think about is how you're going to come up with those solutions, and I'm going to add to it. Number 2, in addition to being concerned with COVID, they are also concerned with, they're also concerned with, hey, dealing with our tenants. A lot of times the owners do not want their tenants to know that you're selling the house because they're embarrassed, they're behind. There's a lot of different things, okay? The third thing with this is a lot of sellers are out of state. They just don't live in Utah. So regardless of COVID, they're just not sitting like going to drive from Provo to Orem. This is me. I don't want to go drive and go meet people. It just takes time. But I want to make it comfortable enough. So we're going to give you guys some different ideas. We're going to pick some different ideas to help you guys do that, okay? So if you guys remember, COVID, out of state, and different concerns that they don't want the tenants to know. So real estate investing is a CYA, cover your assets. Here's my caricature. Here's a photo of my family. I need to get a new photo of my family with my mom. So if you guys don't know, my mom passed away 1 month ago tomorrow. She passed away on my birthday. It has definitely been a reflection of life, and I'm making some changes to focus more on our family. We have a theme of the month every single month. The theme of the month as a team this month is physical health. And the reason I shared that with you is something we learned at Tony Robbins is you have physical health, emotions and meaning, relationships, time, work, career, mission, finances, and then contribution and celebration. So if you have a pyramid or a wheel of life, those are important. A couple of things that I love on here is I love the Utah Jazz. I think the Jazz play tonight. Did the Jazz play tonight? Yeah, does anyone want to bet on the Jazz game tonight, by the way? I'm willing to bet just for entertainment. If anyone wants to bet, I got $500 cash that I just got today. If anyone wants to bet, I'm happy to take them on a bet just to make it entertaining, okay? Second thing, Real Salt Lake. I love Real Salt Lake. Obviously, there's some different things going on with that. Deloy Hansen personally called me and said, hey, Matt, I got insider information. I'm going to say some stupid shit and offend people, get upset, and then I'm going to sell the team to you at a discount. Are you interested? Okay, that's what Deloy Hansen did. The Denver Broncos, John Elway said, hey, look, if you guys kneel, you guys are fired. So we got John Elway, and then we got the Chicago Cubs that they're not going to go back to the World Series again. Amsterdam's important. I love this vacation because I was going to go to Amsterdam this year, but I'm just going to keep looking at my photos from last year. Now I've definitely got Yoda in. Who's your favorite Yoda? Who's your favorite Star Wars character? If you guys can type that in real quick, we definitely got to get some people participating. Who is your favorite Star Wars character? And that is so good. I'm going to wait 30 seconds because I really want everyone to freaking participate. Who is your favorite Star Wars character? And we need people to, we got Baby Yoda and Lord Vader. Seriously, Harry, who's yours? Dean, who's yours? Andrew, of course you love Han Solo. That guy's so arrogant. Good job, Dean. You got Han Solo. Bryce Lucido, Jar Jar Binks. Oh my gosh, are you serious? So, and then ABL is always be learning, right? So these are different things, young Anakin Skywalker. The young one, like when he's 15 years old and he's hooking up with Padme, or like the young one when he's 10 years old and he's a little guy, right? So background with me, how I'm going to help you guys out. So introductory phone call, potential seller, okay? We're going to go over this. So the closing of the sale begins the moment that you make the original contact and every conversation after. So I'm going to share you guys 3 tips on what we do when we have the original contact. And I'm going to focus on porgs, Qui-Gon Jinn. Okay, cool. We're going to focus on the outbound call versus the inbound call, okay? Obviously, an inbound call is going to have a higher conversion ratio most of the time because they're calling you for a reason. So I'm going to share some things I've learned from Dr. Carrie Johnson of what has worked really well for us. This is for notes. This is for you guys to write these down. Okay, number 1, everyone has 3 needs that they need to resolve. Okay, you got to find out 3 needs. It might be they need cash now, they need to pay off debt, they're behind on their mortgage, they got to get a kid out of jail, and I'm not joking, these are all different things. They've got to have a family member move to an assisted living facility, they're getting divorced, they're getting married, they're about to file out bankruptcy, whatever that is. So a good question is, what makes you interested in selling your property right now? That's a good open-ended question that is going to allow people to share that call you. So what I want you guys to do as you're taking notes, I want you to type in the toolbar, what is a different question that helps you with that similar outcome? So the question is, again, what makes you interested in selling this property right now? Okay? So what makes you interested? Now, I want you guys to type in a question that you would ask. That's an open-ended question that's going to help you gather information. There's no right or wrong. I don't want you to be embarrassed. But the more you guys participate, the better I'm going to help you out. And the better I help you out, you guys are going to be able to get better financial goals. So what is a question? Even if you're on your cell phone, you can still type to text. So I said, what makes you interested in the property right now? So panelists, we're going to pick Travis Fisher. What are you going to do with the money from selling? Ooh, I love that question. Let's unmute him real quick. Good job, Travis. So let's unmute him real quick. What are you going to do with the money from selling? So let's role play for a second. I'm going to ask you what makes you interested in selling the property right now. Go ahead, Travis. What makes you interested in selling the property right now?
Well, we're moving, and I'm going to use the extra money to buy new furniture. We've always wanted new furniture. And
good. You're moving, and you want to buy a new property, and you want to buy new furniture. Is that correct?
Yep.
Awesome. Where are you moving to?
Moving out to Tooele.
Tooele. That's fantastic. Just curious, what makes you interested in moving out of a really nice place like this, going out to Tooele?
We have family out there, and we've just been spending a lot more time out there, and we just kind of fell in love, kind of like it out there.
Okay, good. So number 1, pause. He has family. You guys get that? His number 1 objective is he has family. Number 2, he said new furniture. Do you guys really think that's a concern of his, is that he needs money for new furniture? I'm going to ask a follow-up question with that why, okay? Number 3, so in addition to moving out with closer to family and wanting to buy new furniture, what makes you interested? Is there another reason that you want to move to Tooele? Are you buying a larger house or a smaller house?
Oh, we're downsizing. Kids are moving out.
You're downsizing. Cool. Okay, good. And are you buying a newer home than what you currently have, or an older home that you can put some elbow grease into it and make it the way you want?
No, this is a brand new house for us.
Awesome. So you're downsizing and you're choosing to buy a brand new house so you don't have to put any extra work. Is that correct?
Yep. Yep.
All right, cool. See how I did that, guys? So look, I'm not going for the jugular yet. I'm just finding out why they're selling their house, right? So why are you selling a nice house like this? So let's recap the things he said. So 1, wants to be closer to family. 2, wants to buy new furniture. 3, wants a brand new home that does not need work. Okay, cool. So Travis, if we're able to help buy the house so you can live closer to your family, so you have the furniture you're looking for and have a brand new home, what's more important to you, time or price?
What do you mean by time? How fast
Good.
is?
Yeah, how fast you need the money versus the price that you get.
Well, they're both a little important because it's going to take a month or two for them to build the house. So we're kind of on a time schedule.
Okay, cool. So knowing that you're on a time schedule, great. So now you guys see how you balance that out. Is he really super motivated with time? Not really, because he's got a month, right? When you need money in a week, you're going to work with your price. Do you guys agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
So here's a question. Who in here, you guys, a good question. So thanks, Travis. I'm going to unmute you. So who in here has bought a property that you found out about it and you had less than a week to close? Raise your hand. I'm watching everyone virtually. How many of you guys in here? Good, a good hand amount of you. Okay, good. So now as we keep going with that, the closing of the sale begins the moment that you make original contact and every conversation after. So most of the time when I'm having a conversation, now remember, this is working with a seller and not normally meeting him or her, okay, or the personal representative. So we're developing these skills of just finding out information up front. Okay, so as we think about it, Tony Robbins talks about a 2 or 4 call close. I actually agree with him. Dr. Kerry Johnson talks about a 4-step close. I'm going to share the 4-step close for Dr. Kerry Johnson if you guys want to write this down. He calls the first conversation is what's called an RPC, or revenue producing call. It allows you to get information about what they're trying to do. If you're calling out, so if Bryce sitting in his car is prospecting, he's going to have a different approach, him calling out versus someone calling him. Do you guys agree with that? What you need to say on an outbound call is way different. I'm going to give you guys 3 quick examples of what I would be calling currently on an outbound call. Number 1, I would call for sale by owners listed on the internet. Number 1, I would call for sale by owners listed on the internet. Okay? And an RPC, it is a revenue producing call. Good question, Bryce. Revenue producing call. Okay? Number 2, I would call current rentals on the KSL, Craigslist, etc. Current rentals on Craigslist, KSL, etc. Number 3, I would call property managers because they have a lot of properties. Right? So if you're calling or having that conversation first, your goal is for people to like you, trust you, want to listen to you, and do business. The second part of that call is called the opener. Now, you could combine an opener with that first call. But if you don't want to go long-winded, you want to be an efficient, effective 15-minute gathering information, right? So an opener is now you're gathering more information. You're finding out their 3 needs. You're brainstorming hypothetical solutions, and you're going to get back to them. The third call is called your closing presentation. You want to give them 3 options based on what they told you, and they're going to give you feedback. Okay? So we're going to do this with Travis right now just for fun. Back to this, him moving to Tooele because he wants to be closer to family. He wants to downsize the size of the property, and he also wants to buy furniture. Okay? So Travis, a couple ideas based on what you shared with me. Based on what you shared with me, you're wanting to get your money in a month. You're not in a hurry. You want to make it easier. You don't want to put any money into the house that you own right now. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
that's great.
cool. Knowing that's important. And the third thing is you probably want to make an easy transition from the time you sell your house to the house to the day the builder closes on the house. You can send the money and be flexible to move in, so you don't have to do it in the weekend based on what you said. Is that correct?
Yeah, if I don't have to move in with my mom for 2 weeks, that would be great.
Yeah. Who wants to move in with their mom for 2 weeks, right? Especially at 42. And so my comment with you is I got 3 options based on what you shared. Can I share them with you?
Sure. Yeah.
Great. So option number 1, based on what you told me, is knowing that you have $50,000 in equity, based on what you told me on the loan, is we close your loan. Knowing that you're already going to get qualified for a mortgage, we give you $50,000, and then you are able to put the down payment on the house, buy all the furniture you're looking for, and have 3 months of reserves or savings that you talked about. Okay. Option number 2 is we give you the price of $30,000 less. So we're going to pay cash or a hard money loan, or we're going to close on time early. With that, though, what that's going to do, it's still going to let you put the 5% down. It's going to allow you to still put the furniture in, but you're going to be a little light on cash, and that's why you called us, because you don't want to use a realtor, right? The third option that we could do, which could help benefit, is the following. We will do a lease option on your house. We will actually give you $25,000 now. That lease option will go towards your down payment. Knowing that you want to get a good deal and you told me your wife's going to spend the money on other stuff besides furniture, what if we gave you an extra $35,000 in 90 days after you move out, knowing you don't want to have your wife spend all that money on the furniture like we talked about that when she went to the bathroom? Of those 3 options, which of those 3 do you find the most interesting?
I like the extra money as long as that doesn't stop me from closing on my new house.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So you guys see what I just did right now? So let's go back with this, okay? So we built rapport, right? So Travis and I already talked. We found out what his needs are. This is our 3rd phone call. I found out about his wife, how she wants to buy furniture, different options. I'm giving brainstorming questions, and now I'm coming back to him with options. So after my opening conversation, Greta, good question, this is my hypothetical with the opener. So this is when I'm going to give him ideas. I'm going to pull comps. I'm going to check out rents. I'm going to see the condition of the property. I'm going to determine how much I need to fix it up or keep it rent ready or whatever, right? So as we ask engaging questions, what Travis said is wants to move with family, wants to buy furniture, wants to close on time, wants to make sure he has money for reserves, and he would love to make that as easy as possible. So here's a question for you guys. How many people have, actually, here's this. From all of you in here, if you please type in if you've bought at least one house in the last 36 months. So type in if you have or have not bought at least one home in the last 36 months. Yes, yes, yes. Good. We got a bunch of yeses. I have not. Cool. Yes, yes, yes. Good. Primary, not investor. Great. Buying a house is great. Okay. Amy Rios, you've bought a house in the last 36 months? Must have done that when you were in Mexico. All right, so cool. How many of you guys, did your realtors talk to you like this, finding out what your needs were buying your house? Type in yes, my realtor did, or no, my realtor did not. Just don't type in yes or no. Type yes, my realtor did, or no, my realtor did not, please. let's see what you guys come up with. Good, we're getting split. Okay, cool. We're giving different ideas. Okay, good. So, as Greta said, hey, Matt, when is this part? So guess what? We've already talked about building rapport, ask engaging questions, and the difference of an inbound and outbound. And this is an inbound call relationship, and I'm going to focus on that in a couple minutes, but I want to share some building rapport questions, okay? Here are 5 questions that I love to ask people to build rapport or commonality way quicker, especially if they're calling me in off the phone. Number 1, why am I so lucky to hear from you today? Is an open-ended question that I like to ask up front. Why am I so lucky to hear from you today? Normally, when people call me or email me, it's because they need something, which is totally okay. That's what the business I'm in. But that's an open-ended building rapport question. As they share the feedback, if they share the feedback from someone that I do not know, I ask them, this is a follow-up, who can I thank for introducing you to me if I don't know who they are? Who can I thank for introducing you to me? So, for example, Dan Liu, who's on this call, he had a realtor about 2 or 3 years ago that called me ahead of time saying, hey, I have this investor that wants to buy a property. He wants to buy it your way. I said, what's my way, right? He's like, well, he wants to put the least amount of money down. I'm like, okay, cool. That's definitely my way. So I said, tell me about him. He told me just a little bit about him. And I said, please have him call me. So actually, I'm going to unmute Dan real quick. And Dan, I want you to give me a 2-minute version of the story of how we connected and what information we found out to help you out, please. So let's go ahead with that, please.
Yeah, so basically I was working on another house that I had bought. We're doing some renovations, and he's a realtor, but was a prior tenant to this house, and he had shipped a box. He had ordered something on Amazon and shipped it to his prior address just by accident. So he stopped by and picked it up, and we kind of got talking, and he said, that he was a realtor, and I told him, I was just doing some renovations here, and he knew of another guy selling another investment property, and so being an investor, I always keep my options open. So I went and took a look at it, was really interested in it, had no idea about how to invest like Matt does, and so basically got in contact with Matt. He told me to watch his videos online. I spent that night basically watching his 2-hour videos and learned a ton from them and was hooked just right away. And then after that, got on the phone with Matt and kind of just basically cemented what I'd learned online by talking to him. And we moved forward with buying this other house. It was a house in Taylorsville that basically I bought for $256, put in $12,000 in renovations. ARV came back as $358. Basically bought a $358,000 house for $12,000, and we're cash flowing about $500 a month from it.
Guys, isn't that freaking awesome? Here's what's awesome. Here's what Dan did really well. Number 1, round of applause. Okay, so here's what Dan did well, and I'm going to transition this back to calling, right? So he chatted with the realtor, and here's the cool thing and the sad thing. I don't think the realtor has sold you another property since then. Is that correct, Dan?
That is correct.
Okay, cool. And how many ballpark have you bought since then?
4 or 5.
4 or 5. All right, cool. All right. So you're obviously a buyer, right? So you're a buyer, which is fantastic. And here's 3 things that Dan did really well. Dan took action. He picked up the phone, PUTFP, had a conversation, and I remember the call. I'm like, this guy's not going to watch the videos, but I'm going to give everyone the same opportunity to watch them. And then on Monday, I could tell he totally watched the videos. I'm like, wow, you watched the video? He's like, I watched too. I said, wow, that's awesome. That is not normal. And he totally compressed the learning curve because he knew the content, right? So then as he called and we gave him what he wanted, the videos are on the MJA Real Consulting website, just so you guys know, and I'll type it in, or I'll have Dominic type it in for you guys. So the point is, if the realtor had the content or the realtor had the skills to keep giving value for Dan, the realtor would probably be on this call today. And also, Dan would probably have maybe bought more properties because someone's looking for him, okay? So Greta said, my question was about the second call. Isn't there 3 options of third call? 3 options of third call. So let me go back for a second. First call, revenue producing call, is an inbound call that you get or an outbound call, and we'll go over this in a minute. The second call is the opener, is to really finding out what they're trying to get, finding comps, getting rental comps. Maybe you'd already looked at the property virtually from them, done your due diligence. Because the first call, you're not going to know that. That makes sense, Greta? You got to get some data. The third call is now called the closing presentation. You're giving them 3 options of what they want to do. Now, it's not normal. Normal's relative. Whatever's normal these days is irrelevant. We just had a lady shave the side of her hair these days, right? So what's normal is irrelevant. But what's more successful is if you give people 3 options, they're more likely to give you feedback. And then if we ask them, of these 3, which one's the most interesting, Travis could give me feedback saying, hey, I like this, but let's modify this part, right? So that's the feedback. So as Travis might say, hey, look, I'm happy to, as long as I can qualify for the mortgage to buy my house, then I'm open to getting more money. I get the $25,000 now, and then I can get $40,000 in 90 days because I don't want my wife to spend all the money. And I'm not just saying this wife, could be your husband, whoever, right? Anyway, the point is I'm giving him the options, and then we're going to say, cool, how do we need to modify this option for you that you and your wife would feel comfortable? You guys want to write that down? How would we need to modify this option for you or your significant other to feel comfortable? How do we need to modify this option for you and your significant other to feel comfortable? So inbound versus outbound calls. Okay, so I'm going because I want to share a lot of info with you guys now so you guys can take this information and actually start making calls if you chose to tomorrow. So inbound versus outbound, what made you call? That's an idea of why they called for you to get you information. Now, I modified and said, how did you get my contact info? As I literally like to say, and you notice that, I'd love to thank someone for the referral, is I'm wanting to find out who that connection is because that gives me commonality with building trust, right? Like if I met Lynette, nice to see you, Lynette, with your red glasses. If I met Lynette, I think I met Lynette at a Kyle Taylor's event that I spoke at for free on a Saturday morning about 18 months ago, right? So because I remember that, give or take, and I know she likes Garrett White, and I know she likes Gerald Rogers. She basically likes all the masculine men that I know in Utah. So the good thing with that is I'm building commonality with her, right? So that's an instant credit being, now we haven't maybe talked a lot before, but we know each other and we can build on it, right? So meat and potatoes. I'm not sure what that means, but I'm hungry, I agree. So 5 forbidden phrases. So as we're talking, here's what we're going to remember, okay? These are things we're going to avoid saying, and I've learned this from Tom Hopkins. If someone asks me a question, I don't want to say I don't know, okay? There's a lot of negatives with I don't know. So I'm going to give you guys an alternative. Actually, here's a question. What would you guys say instead of I don't know? Let's see. Let's go with Dean. Unmute yourself. Why don't you type out, what would you say instead of I don't know, please? looks really excited to share. Go ahead.
Type it or just say it?
No, dude, I'm hearing you, right?
Okay.
I don't know. What are you going to say?
Yeah, like, let me double check and get back to you, or let me do some research.
Good. I like those ones. Let me double check and get back to you. Let me do some research. Okay, good. Thanks for sharing that. Okay. So here's a couple alternatives that we like. Gee, that's a good question. Okay. That's a great question. Let me find out. When do you need that answer? So here's a couple of comments with that. Gee, that's a good question. That's a great question. Let me find out. When do you need that answer? That's an alternative. Or let me look that up and I'll get back to you. Or let me find out and get back to you. These are different alternatives with what someone wants to do. So if someone's like, hey, look, I want my money tomorrow, man, that would be fantastic that I could get you the money tomorrow. Can I do some research on some things and call you back to see what we could do to make that happen? And if they say, oh, okay, you're going to progress with me, then when I call them back and say, okay, for me to get the money tomorrow, this is what you told me, I could do this, right? Or I could do this, or I could do this. I always want to give 3 options on buying properties from sellers, because you never know that one of the options that you don't think they want to do, they're going to be open to it. Okay? So besides, I don't know. So these are different things to show you're an expert. The next comment, we can't do that. Okay? So rather than saying we can't do that, I'm going to have someone else share an alternative versus we can't do that. We're going to go with Greta. What would you say instead of we can't do that, please?
I could say, I wish I could, but it's not an option that we have. Or
Ooh, are you reading my screen?
Am I reading your screen?
Yeah, that's really good. I like that one. You must have been watching a presentation.
I might.
Alternatives. I wish I could. However, that isn't an option that we have. Bravo. Bravo. Actually, I texted her what to say just so you guys know ahead of time, just to like show that I actually know what I'm talking about, okay? So that's good for all of you guys. So alternatives. I wish I could. However, that is an option we have. Okay, that's going to be difficult. There's a 10% chance it's possible. Impossible, but here's what I can do for you. Now, here's something I would say instead of this that knocks these out of the ballpark. I will see what I can do. If we could offer you this instead, would you be open? You guys like that one better? I will see what I can do, and this is the progress for me as an investor. I will see what I can do. If we could offer this alternative now, would that be an option? What I'm doing is I'm compromising or giving them something else that they may consider or like, or that's more important to them. So Dominic's going to write this one down because it's so good. I will see what I can do. Can we give you this alternative as an option? So if you think about it, we've already found out what they want. So now we're kind of just bridging the gap or developing that relationship together. Okay? The next one is you'll have to, right? Man, does anyone like being told you'll have to? Like Lonnie, where's Lonnie? Is Lonnie, do we see your eyeballs on here? She's not showing her face. All right, Lonnie's helping out with the tech. So you'll have to. No one wants to be told you'll have to, right? You guys agree? No one wants to be told you'll have to. You want to come up with alternatives. So you'll have to, and alternatives. What we need to do is an alternative, right? So if Harry's like, dude, I'm refinancing my houses and these freaking conditions, these COVID-19 conditions are a pain in the ass for me, I'm going to come up with solutions up front. Here's what we need to do to make this work, right? So I'm giving alternatives of solutions of how to make that work. I am not sending negative feedback in an email. Will you guys please write that down? You do not send negative feedback in an email. You can give alternatives, like in a recap email and saying, I think the following 3 things will help you accomplish this, boom, 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 but you don't send negative feedback in an email like that. So like it says, to accomplish that, we need to do X, okay, is an alternative. So as you're talking to sellers, so they might want to rent back for a month. They might want to live there for 3 months while they're going to build their new house. These are all different options I've had. I've actually bought a property on a lease option. I had to give them money up front. And as I gave them the money up front, they needed that money to put a security deposit on a new house. And they literally took 6 months. And I'm going to talk more about this in my class in October of how to create a financing from A to Z. If it's an 8-hour class, you guys will learn a lot about. But I literally put the property under contract as a lease option. It took 6 months later. 1 week before closing, I then bought their house. They got that money to buy their new house, and we went on their merry way. Knowing what I know now, what I would have done is bought that property with seller financing, given them more money, and then financed it, but I didn't know that until I've progressed. Those are my steps to help you guys out also. Okay, so the next step. Here's another one. Hang on a second. This freaking drives me nuts. I actually learned this from a telephone doctor. She's called the telephone doctor. She's all about phone etiquette. But when I'm talking to someone about a real estate deal, I want to be present with them. So I'm at least going to give you alternatives, because these are things that can diffuse your relationship in talking to them. Okay, hang on a second. Alternatives. Are you able to hold for a moment? Okay? Are you able to hold for a moment versus hang on a second? Because if they tell you no, then you can give them an option. Second idea. I'd like to speak with you. Can I call you back when I can give you the attention you deserve? Right? If any of you guys have talked to me while I'm at work, I'm probably walking around mouthing off to my mortgage team. I might be talking to Brian or Dominic or Olga, right? But you're like, what the hell is Matt doing? I'm walking around to stay present as possible in my brain, but I'm giving you some different alternatives with that. Hang on a second. Or with that. Now think about it. These are high level skills that if you're not meeting the seller face to face, that if you lose their attention, just like the reason why I want your guys' eyeballs on these Zoom calls, like I don't know what Jordan's doing. Bryce looks like he's paying attention. We got Lynette, Amy, Andrea, Jamie, Jason Frazier, Charlie, Amy, Rafael Chavez, Aaron Stone. We got a bunch of people that need to jump on here, right? Show your eyeballs, because you never know who you're going to get called out. Talking about getting called out, know at the start of the sentence, okay? So I'm going to share an example besides know at the start of the sentence. So about 2 weeks ago, looking at my calendar, on Wednesday, October 26th, I started a business mastery virtual, Tony Robbins business mastery that was 5 days. Started at 7:30 in the morning, ended till 8 o'clock at night, as late as 11 o'clock one night, which is crazy long, okay? My kids of 2,500 people, we had videos, and they're totally saying, please show your videos, because you have 2,500 people, and the speaker is just talking to himself, but it's got to look at people's body language, right? So as we're watching people's body language, it shows people are paying attention. With that, as I'm watching your guys' body language and paying attention, writing notes, scratching your face, whatever you're doing, right, is my son on day 6, I had 2 extra days. It went from 2,500 people to 300 people, so way more intimate. So I was sitting on the ground in the morning before my son's going to school, and I'm like writing notes, and one of the presenters said, Matt, get your ass up in front of everyone. Matt Atkinson, get your ass up in front of everyone. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I stood up because my video camera was showing. And my son started laughing, say, Dad, you just got called out. And we're just laughing and laughing and laughing because he got on video like 5 times during the 5 days. We got him on video all the time. The next point, the next day, Tony was teaching with a guy named Jay Abraham, and I'm jumping on this rebounder. I literally have a rebounder at my office. I jump on it all the time. It helps me stay like inspired, motivated. I'm jumping on this rebounder, and they're interviewing someone. And if you guys have ever heard Tony Robbins, like, Okay, let's listen to Matt Atkinson now. So I'm jumping on this rebounder. I'm like, oh shit. And they show my face in front of 300 people. I probably know 100 of them. And I'm like unmuting myself. I'm like, hey, what's up, Tony? He's like, Matt Atkinson, you look like you have a great exercise. What is the top takeaway you've learned thus far? And I'm like, and I look at my notes and I share for a minute and I say what we're going to do. And he's like, that's awesome. And then he goes on to someone else. The point. Tony also shared, then I like this at the start of a sentence. Tony also shared that if you go into no, you're normally not going to win, right? You need to have alternatives or different solutions with win-win situations, especially when you're dealing with a seller. And that's the point of what we're looking for. So no at the start of a sentence. I think I spelled sentence wrong. All right. It spells sentence? Yeah, you guys are shaking your head. All you guys that went to college, you got degrees. Actually, if you guys want to blame anyone, you can blame Jeff Brailio. He was my English professor in college, English 1010 in English 2010. And his phone number, this is for Andrea, it's 801-560-2180. You guys have any questions about estate planning, LLCs, or trusts, 801-560-2180. And if you said Andrea sent you, she's going to get a 10% commission. There you go. This is recorded. So Jeff Brailey was my English professor. The first semester in school, I basically turned in all my English 990 papers after they were edited, so they were already redlined. So after I turned in my 99 papers that were already redlined, I still got B's in that class. And then when I took English 2010, I showed up twice, and he said, Matt, you don't really show up and you're a bad example. I'd just rather, if you're not going to come, just give me a Chili's gift certificate. I said, okay. I worked at Chili's at the time. That's how easily Jeff Brailio can be bought. So instead of no's, here's an alternative. I have not, okay, you know that isn't. Change the negative no into a neutral or positive statement, okay? So here's the 5 words, and we're going to take a decompression. Dominic, and he's going to share a couple examples of him chatting with clients because we work with a lot of sellers, okay? So the 5 words are different ideas when we're communicating with people to kind of think about this. This is mostly over the phone. We want to get rid of I don't know. That's now. I spelled it. Man, I'm bad at this. We can't do that. I know. I love this. This is how good I was at presentations. That's why I don't do presentations myself. You'll have to hang on a second. No at the start of the sentence. Okay. So you'll lose more business with more customer service than you will from products, right? You'll lose more business from poor customer service than you will from products. So comment with that. You'll earn more business with good communication. And here's the difference, and I'll pick Tony again. Tony talks about a good life and a great life. Like, honest, and you don't need it. This is a personal thing. I don't want you guys to type in the chat bar. Don't do that. Like, overall, would you say your life is good or great, right? Like, you don't need to say, but I want you to write down, is your life great or outstanding? Or is your life okay? And these little modifications that we can do in life makes a huge, huge difference. So we're going to take a couple minutes, and Dominic's going to share, and he's going to ask a couple of you guys about the importance of PUTFP, which means pick up the freaking phone, because as we're having these conversations, that's way better than a keyboard warrior saying, hey, Matt, would you like to renew your LLC that's due, versus, hey, Matt, would you like to renew your LLC? I just wanted to call and say how amazing you are. There's just a difference with that. That's why I love seeing people's cameras. Such an ego thing. So, Dominic, take it away for a couple minutes of the importance of what skills you've learned the last couple years of PUTFP, please.
Awesome. I'm actually going to share my screen here. I'm going to go through my sequence, and when I talk to sellers is just a little bit different, but it all accomplishes the same thing. So let's see if we can share a script that I use when I'm calling people. Let's go share screen. Yes. And let's go. Let me know if you guys can see my screen, which should have it's a Word document, which is the first outbound script that I have. Let me know if you can see that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to call on somebody to, there we go. Actually, yeah, let's see here. Share. So I have two things I use. I use a form, what I call the gold form, that I've adopted over time, and then I have my script. Okay, and this script is what I go through when I talk to sellers, and I need a participant here that I can call on. Who would be willing? Raise your hand if you have your camera on, and I can pretend that you're a seller. You just raise your hand. Let me know if I can see anybody there. And let's see. Do we not have anybody here? Okay, Mr. Bryce. All right, cool, Bryce. Unmute yourself.
I was like
Awesome.
waving my hand, and I'm like, my camera's off or something. I'm not sure what's going
Side to
on here.
side. No, I saw it finally. Okay, so the script,
cool.
I like to know right out the gate more details about the property before I start going into the negotiating. I think a lot of people miss the main information. And so as I'm calling, I'm going to go through a couple questions with you, Bryce. Just pretend you got a house that's for sale. And
Okay.
yeah, maybe it needs a little bit of work or whatever, but just roll with me, okay? So,
Perfect.
hi, Bryce. I was calling about your home for sale. Is it still available?
Yes, yeah, the one right there on 123 Main Street, right?
Yes, on 123 Main Street. I'm looking for a home
Yep.
in that area. And that, what can you tell me about that property? Now you're going to go into detail about it's a 5-bedroom, 3-bath home, and you'll give me most of the things I need to know. But some questions I like to know is, Bryce, how long have you owned it for?
Yeah, so we've actually lived in the home for about 10 years now, me and my wife, and I think we're just getting ready, we're just ready to move on from it. We weren't really expecting to be in it so long.
Awesome. So you've been in it for 10 years, and that was it your first time home that you bought, or did you second home?
Yeah, it was our first home. We actually bought it because we wanted to like live in it and fix it up and then resell it and hopefully get some profit. But I think that we didn't really know what we were doing, and we spent a lot more time on it than we wanted. And so, right now we're just still sitting in the house, and it's kind of more of a burden, I think. It's a roof over our heads, but not really. Not
Right,
really
so
what we were hoping it would be.
It sounds like you're wanting to sell it then and move on from it.
Yeah, we're wanting to get out of it.
Awesome. So the next question I'll go into with Bryce is, has the kitchens or the bathrooms been remodeled in the last few years?
Yeah, so we've been working on that. We did do the bathrooms, or at least we're still working on one. We haven't done the kitchen yet. Like I said, it's been 10 years and we still haven't finished what we were wanting to do with it.
Okay, nice. The reason why I ask about the kitchens, I'm going to pause in between, but the reason why I ask about the kitchens and the bathrooms is I want to know, is there anything that I need to think about? Sometimes I'll have people say, yeah, the kitchen's been remodeled, but the bathrooms haven't. So it gives me a better idea of what thing I'm going to put into the property, but just going over the phone, they'll ask them also, has the roof ever been replaced? And
Go
ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. No, I see what you're doing. But yeah. I was going to say, we did the roof like 7 years ago. Got a 25-year warranty.
Awesome. So 7 years, and I'll write that down. Is there anything that needs to be repaired or updated on this house? And then, so go ahead and share.
Yeah. So there are some things that definitely still need to be done. The yard needs some work still. The deck out back is kind of rickety, so we wanted to take that thing down and put a new deck up. Paint on the outside, there is some peeling paint, and so if we were to even sell it FHA, with a realtor, we'd have to repaint certain spots. And so yeah, there's definitely some work that needs to be done. We did some nice updating in some spots, but there's still things that need to be done on it. So that I'm guessing probably could be done for like $10,000.
That's what I was going to ask you. All those things that you're thinking of doing to the property, not roughly how much? And you said about 10,000. Is this something that you're going to be doing and paying for before you sell the house, or are you wanting to sell the house as is without having to do those things?
I think at this point we would just like to sell it as it is. I mean, it's taken us this long to do as much as we have, and I feel like we both feel like there's still so much left. I think we're just kind of done with it.
Okay, so you do want to sell it as is. So as you can see, I'm digging through finding out what repairs need to be done, and I'm qualifying right now. In his mind, he thinks it's $10,000, but he doesn't want to spend the money himself. He wants someone else to be able to do it. So that will be something I'll use in the future to negotiate. And I'm not going to go through all these because we only have a little bit of a time, but I wanted to show you there are questions, the sequences that I go through to kind of start capturing these things before I start going into understanding what are some ways that we can put together this, where we can put our heads together with them. So another one that I like is really stealth. Rather than asking somebody, is your home vacant? I like to go over, is there someone living in it, in your home right now, or is it ready to be moved into? Bryce, is there someone living in it right now, or is it ready to be moved into?
Yeah, we still live there currently.
Okay, so you are living in there right now. So that tells me then, I know that either he's going to say, I live in it, or I have a tenant that's living in there, or no, he'll say, no, it's vacant. And then that will give me an idea. If it's vacant, I know that he might be motivated because he's making a payment and no one's renting it out. In this case where he's living in it and he's making the payment, unless I can determine he's behind on payments, more than likely he's not going to have a level of motivation versus if it was vacant, just FYI. And then it also tells me that he's in it right now. So, and then one of the other questions I might ask is awesome. So, just curious, why would you consider selling the property? And then go ahead and tell me why, Bryce, just curious, why would you consider selling it?
Yeah, it's kind of like I was saying, we've done some work on it. We were hoping it was going to be a really good investment. And honestly, like, we spent way too much time in it. I was saying a little bit about how we've been in it longer than we wanted. We were hoping to be in and out of this home in, like, honestly, like under 2 years when it started. And then life just kind of happened and it went by a lot faster than, you know how life is. It just flies by especially when you're just doing a lot of things. And so, we wanted to be done with this already, but here we are now. And I think, we're just not happy anymore with what we feel like our original plan has already been out the window. And so now we're just not really happy with it. And, it's just, we think it's better if we could just let it go. We feel that at least one of the things that we have gained over the past 10 years is maybe appreciation with the market going up. And so we figure, maybe we can at least walk away with something. But we don't want to continue to, keep trying to do this because it might take us another 10 years and we don't want to do that.
Sure. So you
originally wanted to go to Hawaii. Yeah.
So as you can see, as you're asking these open-ended questions and asking really good questions, most sellers will start opening up and start sharing with you the main reasons why they want to sell. And when you're asking specific questions, why are you thinking of selling? What is it about it, about buying a new home that's important to you and all that stuff? They start asking questions and giving you what it is that they need. Like Matt said, you got to come up with the main things that they need. In this case, Bryce is demonstrating that, hey, we just want to be done with this house. It's got deferred maintenance. They want to be on to something newer and be able to move on. And there might be some other underlying reasons, which I will dig into at a later time with my questions. But you see the progression of where you're going with it. And then as I get to the bottom of it, I'll always tell them, say, this sounds like a property I'm interested in. When is a good time to have you invite me up? One of my people I studied under, which helped me get really good at getting into sellers' homes, is they said, when you're talking to seller, when you invite people over, they're usually friends. If you're scheduling an appointment, usually it's more of a business. And so you want to come across as a friend, and you want to come across so where they're welcome when they're seeing you. So that's why I say, when is a good time to have you invite me up to take a look at the property? So
okay, that's actually a really good point. I just right there, I think that's super powerful just because it's so true. Like when you ask like, yeah, how about we set up a time to meet or like an appointment? It sounds like very, like you said, like businessy versus like, okay, great, that's awesome. Well, heck, I'd love to come check it out and meet with you and talk some more. When could I come check it out? You know, just something like, when could I come through and say hi?
Yes, and I agree with you. When you get there, that's one of the things you say. First thing you say is, thanks for inviting me up. Can you give me the grand tour of the property? So those of you that are on this call right now,
Amen.
type in the chat box if you would like to get a copy of this
That's
script.
smart.
This would help you.
To walk up.
Type in the chat box if you want to get a copy of this, and I'd be happy to email it to those of you that have said, hey, I want a copy of this. And then I'm going to turn the time back over to Matt, so that way he can continue with his presentation. And I'm going to stop the share.
Hey, Matt, is it all right if I ask you a question while I'm on real quick?
Yeah, you bet.
Perfect. So one of the things that I kind of wanted to kind of talk a little bit about, which is I think something that I've thought a lot about. So me and my partner, we actually recently just talked to each other after we just closed a couple of deals recently, and we were talking to each other. And one of the things that we were thinking about was like, hey, you know what, we need to, like, we were considering basically, because I was telling you earlier how we have focused a lot on like, we want to meet the seller, which is something that I kind of want to be like, well, I don't feel like, you know, I want to do a lot more virtual deals in the future, and I want to do a lot more, you know, deals that I typically wouldn't want to drive out to. And so I've kind of felt like, you know, if we could find a way to close without having to meet the seller. But anyways, one of the things that we suggested was like, hey, instead of focusing so much, because, you know, typical, the 4 pillars like condition, motivation, timeline, and then price ultimately. But we've kind of thought about like, what if we don't really ask about price on the first phone call? And this kind of goes back, it's great to see like the 3 things you shared earlier about the 3 phone calls. The first one is getting information, you know, getting to know who you're talking to, what their situation is. Second one is then kind of opening up, and you mentioned kind of talking about price in the second call. And then the third call is when you present your offers and your options to the seller. So one thing that I guess what I'm trying to say, because I know I'm a little long-winded, but you know, we were basically saying like, basically though, we were saying, you know, let's just focus on like, hey, we want to make sure that the appointment is with someone motivated, right? So first we just want to find out what their motivation and their timeline really is. And I kind of wonder, and like based off of what, you know, I'm learning from you right now, it sounds kind of like it's the same kind of thing where like, rather than, it sounds like in replacement of a face-to-face appointment, the second call is like the appointment, the prep call, right?
Bryce.
Yes.
I just wanted, what am I doing right now with you?
What you mean? Define.
What am I doing? What am I doing right now?
Learning and sharing with me.
I'm controlling the conversation. So sometimes sometimes when we meet sellers, you just keep talking, which is okay. And Greta's like, Matt, you're so rude but so right. Okay. But what I'm doing is I'm helping you identify how to control the conversation. So do you think you're going to talk to a lot of older people who just need to talk and share? Absolutely. What I heard you say, correct me if I'm wrong, is 3 things. 1, when should you bring up the price? 2, during the information, when should you bring up the price so you're not overbearing? And 3, how do we determine if the seller is motivated or not? Did I get that right?
Absolutely. Man, you perfect.
That took me 7 seconds to restate what you said, right?
Yep, literally.
So my dad told me this a lot as a kid. Okay, my dad told me this a lot as a kid. God gave you 2 ears and a mouth. And I'm like, Dad, I have a big freaking mouth. And I didn't swear because Andrea's on here. Okay, Dad, I got a big mouth, okay? The point is real estate investing is in the relationship business. So I love how Dominic gave the example of, hey, when can I come by your house? When I'm at work, whoever's talked to me on the phone, I say I have 15 minutes or I got 6 minutes or whatever because I have another scheduled appointment. I have a lot of things going on, just like I had to prep for this call with all of you guys. So here's what I would do, Bryce, to answer your question, is by picking up the phone, the next part is how to overcome the seller's initial objection. Is that a fair comment?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's going to object up front. Like, Dean, you married? Give me a thumbs up you're married or a thumbs down you're not married. He's not married. All right. You like how I gave him a thumbs down? Now, depending on his relationship, I could say, Dean, give me a thumbs up if you're married, or give me 2 thumbs up if you're single, right? So give me 2. See, now he's mirror matching me because I'm focusing on the benefit of him being married, or 2 thumbs up if he's single. What we convey to other individuals, how we say it, makes a huge difference. So there's 3 suggestions for you, Bryce, that I'm going to have you write this down. Number 1, focus on third, 2/3. You talk a third, they talk 2/3. I want you to time yourself in the next 3 conversations that are at least 20 minutes or longer, no more than 30, to see who controls the conversation. The second thing is I want you to focus on finding out 3 things that you're going to provide value for that individual, whoever it is. I don't care if it's your parents if they're alive, brother, sister, client, seller, etc. The third thing, focus on recapping what you think they heard, like I just did to you in 5 seconds. Are you willing to do that, Bryce?
Yes, and actually, so on number 2, can you kind of, a little bit more definition, focus on 3 things you can provide value to the person. Can you kind of define that a little more?
Like I just identified 3 things you're trying to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as you're focusing on your listening skills, I want you to time yourself like I'm doing right now. So then as you focus on trying to find solutions or value for other people, then you will more likely help them move forward with items.
Right.
I love this quote from Tom Hopkins for you. You ready? Tom called me and said, dude, there's a guy named Bryce who's going to be on the phone today. You've got to plug this quote, okay? So the quote, it says, I'm not judged by the number of times I fail, but by the number of times I succeed. And by the number of times I succeed is a direct proportion to the number, forgot the R, thank you, of times I can fail and keep on trying. The purpose of this is real estate investing is a progressive sport, not a perfect sport. You guys want to write that down? Real estate investing is a progressive sport, not a perfect sport. So as technology changes, we have Zoom, we have WhatsApp, we have FaceTime, we have whatever is available for them. Here are the items that we don't want to do, and this is how we lose trust from sellers. So Greta is like, Matt, I need everything written down for you on your coaching because I just want this checklist that I can follow. And my point with Greta would be is I'm not a checklist guy. I'm more of like a philosophy structured person because it's always going to ebb and flow, right? Real estate investing is we're always solution oriented. So understanding the potential of the seller, here's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of you because you are smarter than them. I've never met a real estate investor who sells me properties that says, Matt, I am calling you because I'm freaking smarter than you. As real estate investors, if you think about it, if someone's calling you and you're dealing directly with a seller, here's the other items. They're afraid of making a mistake, right? They're afraid of making a mistake. They're afraid of being lied to. No one wants to lie, right? They're afraid of debt. So when we role played earlier with Travis, he shared, hey, as long as I'm able to buy my house, I'm open to having more money. They're afraid of losing face or being embarrassed. And they're afraid of the unknown. So the more you're able to establish rapport and relationships with them, that's why like the first call, revenue producing calls, like just to find out who they are. The opener is really figuring out their needs. The closing presentation is you have 3 solutions for them. Then as they give you feedback is step number 4, closing the deal, right? Step 4 is closing the deal after you heard all their items, you hear them out, you know exactly what they're concerned with, they feel comfortable. Last week we just did an assignment with a real estate investor that they bought the property seller financing for the life of the loan, and the seller got $3,000. That's it. Seller got $3,000, which is not a bad thing because they're done with the house. We're going to make the payments for the life of the loan, okay, but we satisfied their needs. We satisfied they can't afford it any longer. We satisfied they don't want to own a house. They satisfied that what they owe is what the property's worth, so they don't want to short sell it. We satisfied that we would make the payments on time. Like, there's a lot of different needs, right? So if you think about that, as we're in the relationship business, here's what's awesome. You buy a property with seller financing. Now, we paid another investor to wholesale it, and we sold it to someone else. But the point is, that's an amazing asset. So we'll do a quick exercise. Everyone grab your calculator. I'm going to do this for Greta. Greta, grab your calculator. Bryce, some of you use your calculator. So Greta, you ready with your freaking red hair colored today? So you guys grab your calculator and do an asset. Current value is $225,000. And this is why we're in the real estate investing business. $225,000. So I'm going to call you guys all out like Tony Robbins called me out. So we got Dean, we got Bryce, we got Greta, we got Yanela, we got Travis, Harry, Andrea, Daniel. Lynette's going to go to sleep. We got Jordan, Amy, Jamie, Jason, Charlie, Amy, Aaron, Lynn, someone with a cool, looks like Polynesian name, and Raphael. All right, so for all you guys jumping on here, now you're going to do a 3% appreciation for the next 10 years, and please tell me the future value. You guys don't know how to do that. That's a great refresher. That's why we're helping you out. And this example is Greta's grabbing her calculator, because I do this, I swear, every freaking phone call on Wednesdays. Here's the point. Understanding the power of empathy. Your buyers should feel like they do, should feel that you feel like they do, and that you have a sincere empathy for them. I'm asking Greta, because hopefully I'm empathetic that she knows how to use a financial calculator, and I'm going to have you guys do this in the future. The Greta, if the value currently is $225,000, it goes up 3% a year for the next 10 years. What is the new value? For all of you guys who already have a financial calculator and have typed it in, type it in the Zoom chat bar. And if you don't know how to do it, say, I don't know how to do it, which is okay, because this is what we got to learn how to do and communicate with them. So Dominic, that's moving around a lot. Trying to get the right angle. Never mind. All right, that's what, we have 2 examples. We have Greta, you got an example yet? She's still trying to figure it out. She will not know how to do this next time. $303,604. Dean came up with $292,500. Here's my point. You guys ready? If we bought this property for $30,000 out of our pocket, okay, $30,000 out of our pocket. Rafael Chavez definitely knows how to do this. Now we'll take it a step further. Let's say your balance in 10 years is $185,000. $185,000. We're going to use Rafael's numbers because this guy is an engineer, Stanford grad, and has an MBA. He's competing with Dan Liu. So if you sell that asset and take 10% off the top of 303, we're going to get us down to 277. 277,000 minus 185,000 yields me $92,000. If we initially invested $35,000, you guys tell me what is your cash-on-cash return for 10 years. So if you guys want to type that in real quick, what is your cash-on-cash return? We're not going to focus on this the whole time, but the point, this is the importance of understanding you guys are normally smarter than your sellers, but you don't need to act like it. use the calculator they feel comfortable with. Write it out long division on a whiteboard if you need to. I did that with a bunch of realtors earlier this year at a real estate office because not one person out of 40, this was in January, knew how to use a financial calculator. I literally wrote out 3% appreciation and added it on a whiteboard because they did not know how to do it out of 40 people, okay? So as we understand, remember that you're dealing with a lot of different personalities, emotions, and circumstances. So you don't want to talk down to them. Greta, did you figure it out yet? Nope? All right. I'm going to have you renew for framework next year, okay? You'll understand how to do that part. Bryce, 32%. Next part, don't be a stereotype, okay? Sellers will be turned off if you push them or if your words or actions remind them of a bad experience. So the cool thing is, if it's important for Greta to understand her compound interest, a small investment on millions of dollars will be a drop in the bucket so she feels confident how to do real estate deals. Is that correct, Greta? Yes, there's a good example with that, okay? So before you start, here's the empathy parts that we need to understand. Here's an awesome part also as we're developing our skills. This is really your skills when you're on probably the second phone call. And I'm going to share this with you. I learned this from Tom Hopkins, okay? So, economize your time and theirs through proper qualifying. Number one, needs. NEADS. I freaking love this acronym. What do they have now? So a good question is, how many properties do you own? Just an open-ended question, then they give you feedback, okay? You never know who owns properties that they want to sell more than one or may know others who can benefit from the service you can provide. The whole point is they might not sell you something today, but they might give you a referral for someone else. Okay? Number two, E, what do you enjoy? What do they enjoy most about what they have now? Right? So what is it that they enjoy about a real estate investing? Let them give you feedback. You need to provide value to the seller, illustrate how it can be the benefit to them based on their current situation. A, alter. This is awesome for you guys to write notes. What do you want to alter about the properties that you currently own? They're going to give you feedback with what they would want to change. Okay? Alter or change. Harry Paynes looks like this is too stressful for him. Okay? So, while we're chatting with that, D, decision maker. If you're able to reach an agreement for an outcome that satisfies their needs, are there others that need to be consulted to move forward? So I've got my friend Andrea on the phone. I swear she's like almost on every free phone call. She just wants to look at my hair. But when we were in kindergarten together, we went to elementary school, and Midvale Elementary, then Midvale Middle. I think she was in Alps, or in the Gifted and Talented. I was not. They didn't have a program for me at that time. Then we went to Hillcrest, okay? But if I know and say, hey, Andrea, who else besides you is a decision maker? If I say it kind of condescendingly, it's totally going to turn her off and be like, screw that. Where I said, hey, Andrea, you're a smart person. Is there anyone else you'd want to bounce this idea with that we should consider? Then she'd be like, no, I'm good to go. Or, hey, I think I want to get another opinion, whatever. Or I got to call Matt and see what he thinks, right? So the point is being conscientious of that. S, what is the solution? Help both parties analyze the seller's needs and find a solution that works for both of you. So a lot of these scripts that I'm sharing with you guys or techniques are from Tom Hopkins. Before Tony Robbins, Tom Hopkins is the most influential business person in my life. I've seen Tom Hopkins speak 9 times from 2006 until 2016. I missed 1 year. So you guys want to write this down one more time? NEADS. This is not recorded for everyone to watch after one person based on asking. So this is important for you guys to identify this. Next comment. Be the master asker. Be the master asker, and I'll go over this with you guys in a minute. Okay? And the reason to be the master asker is qualify the decision for what is best for them. As I was talking to Travis earlier, Travis said, "Hey, I want to move to Tooele. I want to move to Tooele. I want to live closer to my family. I'm downsizing. I'm buying a nicer home for me not to have to do a bunch of work." Right, Travis? Give me 2 thumbs up, please. Awesome, okay? Then the next part, every answer must confirm the fact they're moving forward. If I'm getting a rebuttal for them selling the property, now remember, this is all done over the phone or Zoom or Facebook Live or WhatsApp, because you're going to be buying properties from people who are not right in your area, right? They could be all over the place. So the next comment, this one's totally for Bryce. The fewer the words, the better. I naturally, is Bryce sleeping or meditating? We're not sure. All right. So the fewer the words, the better. I'm a long-winded person also, okay? If you guys hang out with me outside of work, I love to share. But what's more importantly, I love to listen and hear from others. That is a skill I've definitely learned to develop the last 15 years of my life. Okay, the next comment. If I say it, they doubt it. If they say it, it's true. So the reason I was going to have Greta calculate the numbers, are you still calculating the numbers, by the way, Greta? No? She's writing down on a piece of paper. All right, cool. So if Greta comes up with her own numbers, then if I confirm it with her, she's going to be way more open to it, right, as we're negotiating with sellers. Why you should ask questions? To gain control of the conversation, just like you guys saw me do with Bryce. To isolate the areas of interest. To receive minor agreements. Minor agreements lead to major decisions. If you guys want to write that down, minor agreements lead to major decisions. If you guys have learned a lot thus far, type in the Zoom chat bar. I've learned a lot thus far because I want to keep you guys engaged. This is going on for 90 minutes, and I'm doing this for free. So I need to see that you guys are sharing and present. Even if you're watching, you're signing a tenant, you guys can grab your phone, type in the Zoom chat bar. I am learning a lot. I got 1 person, 2 people, 3 people, 4 people. Good. Now we're paying attention. Good.
Matt, do you mind sharing with us some of the minor agreements that you maybe agreed to with some of the sellers in the past? So I know you've done a lot of properties through seller financing that you've been able to buy, but you've had a lot of conversations with these sellers. What are some minor agreements?
I'll cover that. I'll cover that the last 30 minutes. Great question. Please repeat the last bit. Turn into major what? Minor agreements lead to major decisions. Minor agreements lead to major decisions. Next part, to arouse and control emotions. And the last one is to uncover hidden fears. So how to help a seller recognize mutual benefit, right? So here's your minor agreements. I actually texted Dominic and I said, Dominic, I want you to ask this question just so I transition into it, okay? So what are examples of seller concerns? There's a lot of concerns, okay? You've got to hear them out, especially if you're paying cash, getting a regular mortgage, getting seller financing. All of these different ideas are with what's going to be concerning. Okay, number 1, seller's concerns are the steps for the sale. If they don't object, challenge, fight, they aren't serious. They should ask you feedback questions. That means that allows you to build upon what they're wanting to do. So if I was talking to Tagami Moona Atiga, sorry if I said your name not perfectly correctly, if I gave a compliment, I'd say, I love your Nike hat. I love how you have purple like trim on your shoulders and you have black glasses, right? So I'm giving commonalities with her, with that example, right? Now, if I'm saying, hey, Tagi Kimona, sorry, I'm saying your name probably with an English accent from South England. Actually, let's unmute her. How do you pronounce your name, please? Can you unmute yourself real quick? You go to the little bottom left corner. There's a little microphone icon. Awesome. How do you pronounce your name, please? Oh, I can't hear her. Can you hear her, Dominic? Can you say it one more time? Can anyone hear her? No one can hear you. All right, sorry. We'll let you come back next month. All right, but I can see that you're talking. Okay, cool.
I think it's Tangiki Mona?
Tangiki
Tangiki Moana?
Oh, cool. Hi. All right, cool.
Tangiki Moana.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Moana, Lou, like Moana. All right, cool. Good. All right, so here's the point. No feedback is probably not good because they're not giving you feedback on what to build on, okay? The next part, concerns. Define their main areas of interest, right? You want feedback from them because it allows you to build their strategy. You want feedback from them, then you can come up with more solutions. Man, I wish there was another. Okay, and as we have more solutions, we can give more feedback. Holy cow, I got my lead maintenance guy on here, Ramiro. So for example, I'll pick Ramiro on here. If Ramiro's like, hey, Matt, I need you to help me with this project, I'd say, okay, what do you need? And then he said, well, I need you to come and check out the property. Then I'd say, okay, well, can we video the property first? This is what we're going to transition out of communicating with sellers nationally. You want to utilize tech, right? So Zoom calls, WhatsApp, Facebook live video, or FaceTime. You want to use whatever software they're the most familiar with. The reason I want your guys' eyeballs on these calls into practice is you can then communicate with other people and you can coach them on how to find that information, right? So if Tagiki Moona and I were going to buy a house, I would have Tagiki Moona, I love just saying that name because it's freaking hard as hell. I'd have go walk through the video of the property, right? And I would have them download this app and then would be able to show. That's the whole point of doing that, okay? Next, when isolating the concerns, never argue or fight. So if Andrea and I were going to do a real estate deal together, I was like picking her because she's on here. Your hair looks really good, by the way, Andrea. You ask the right questions to help the seller provide an answer, a solution to their concern, okay? So if you don't agree with them, ask them for an alternative. So if I said, hey, Harry, I'm sorry that your loan was suspended for 21 days in November of last year. To help prevent that experience again, can we do boom, boom, boom to make it go faster? And he's like, yeah, you just have to let me know, and then we would do it. Does that make sense? Rather than being argumentative. And I think, did Harry just unmute himself for some reason?
Yeah, I thought you were going to ask me a question.
Oh, okay, cool. So Harry, for a good example, you've done property management in England. Would you agree that property management or communication skills in the British English is similar to the American English?
It's more structured. So as you're talking about being more persuasive in your discussion, there's more structured, this is what's going to happen, rather than how about we do it this way.
Okay, so which one's more structured, American English style or British English style?
Oh, British is way more structured. Am I not more structured in how I write to you and talk?
Good. So it's adapting to who the other person is, right? So it's commonalities. We'll pick Tangiki Moona. Probably, I think you're probably Polynesian. Is that a fair assumption? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs up. All right. Dealing with polys, I have poly friends. I know their style is chill and laid back. We got to laugh. It's not too serious. Similar to dealing with my Latin culture, right? Being half Hispanic. If I'm way too quick to business, then people will get upset. They're going to want to eat a tortilla with me. If you guys heard my mom's funeral talk, we talk about chicken enchiladas. Different. I'm in my periods dealing with in the Asian culture. They're not as more matter-of-factly, generally speaking, in my experience. They want to know numbers. It's just identifying who your clients are. Now, just because that's a culture, that doesn't mean that's how they are, because different people have occupations, parents, things like that. If we're dealing with people from the South in the United States, they're going to be a lot more hospitable. They're going to be more laid back. So that's important. You guys need to recognize who your sellers are. So quick exercise. You guys want to write this down on a piece of paper? What is the best way for me to understand other people's styles? That's a good question. What is the best way for me to understand other people's styles? So I'm going to give you a couple solutions with that. What is the best way for me to understand other people's styles? So before we hire people on our team, we're actually hiring right now. If anyone would like to have a customer service representative on our mortgage team, we are hiring right now because we need help. We also need to hire a processor, mortgage processor, has experience. You guys know anyone that wants to get stretched and get better? That helps out. No, Dan Lou, you make too much money doing drugs. All right, so Jamie said pay attention to them. Dan's like, yeah. Okay, so understanding. So couple tests. Number one, I like a DISC, D-I-S-C profile, DISC. I would encourage you guys to take the DISC profile, read it, have your significant other, spouse, friend, take it also. Helps you be a little more empathetic with how they work. And then as you do that, then here's where the rubber meets the road. When Dominic said, hey, what are some minor agreements to major decisions? Here's some key ones, okay? So we bought this property, seller financing. I never went to the property. I only talked to the seller over the phone, and we bought this property with seller financing. When we bought this property, seller financing, here's what the seller was looking for, 3 things. 1, monthly cash flow. 2, a minimal down payment to know that I'm serious. And 3, not the headaches of maintenance and management any longer. So their needs. Number 1, monthly cash flow. Number 2, a minimal down payment to know I'm serious. Number 3, not to deal with the maintenance and management any longer. Is that a fair assessment? So I said, hey, Mr. Seller, if I could give you monthly cash flow without the headaches of maintenance and management and a small down payment, are you open to that? Absolutely, right? Like ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. So here's what's cool. I took photos of the property and sent the photos to them so they would understand what the property would look like. And then this also allowed me to understand what the property would look like for myself, right? So as we found a solution for this seller, this is a nice house that a lot of people would live in on their first house. So here's the cool thing. The owner owned the property free and clear. Okay, so what's benefit number 1? No debt. Okay. Number 2, the tenant it was tenant occupied. There was 5 lease agreements for a single family residency. So how many different personalities do you have to deal with? 5, right? In a house. It wasn't like I was renting it to my cousins. He had 5 individuals renting out a house. They all rented it by the room, okay? Number 3, he managed it himself. So what's the benefit? 1, he owned it free and clear, which is awesome. 2, he had a generous rental amount. And 3, he was self-managing it. So what's pretty easy is who's the decision maker? He was. He or she was, right? Could I have access to the lease agreements? Absolutely. Do I know what the seller was bothered with? Absolutely, right? So based on this, what would you guys do next? Type in the toolbar. We got 20 minutes left. Type in the toolbar. So you know this information, you know the address, you got photos. What would you guys do next in this scenario with communicating with the seller? We just told you what his needs are. I want you guys to type in the toolbar. What would you do next? Dominic, we'll transfer it to you, or actually real quick, what would you do next, Dominic, based on this information? I think we lost Dominic.
Dom's here.
Okay, go ahead, Dom.
Ask a question again.
Guys, did you guys catch him?
So I left and came right back. You were mentioning about property owned free and clear, tenants with occupied, 5 leases. Wow. Rent for $22.75, and it's managed by a property manager. What questions do you ask?
What would you do next based on that information that you know and you saw the photos, please?
The next would be to establish what the owner was looking for as far as the price. So I'd go over the photos with the owner and figure out based on the condition of the property what they were looking for as far as the price, and then I'd use your famous words. Are you open to us coming up with determining the value of going over that with each other? Or I might
Those are
ask,
my famous words.
well, something similar to that. What I'm trying to say though is we're trying to determine what the value might be. Meaning, so if they say, I want to know what they're asking for, and great, how did you come up with that value is what I'd be asking them. And they might say, oh, I pulled comps, which most people usually do, or I had an agent pulled comps. And so I'd want to go through them with them. Or I would say, are you open for us to determine the value together? And more than likely they're going to say yes. And then I'd go through those steps next. That's what I would do.
Awesome. You guys love that, right? So Dan Liu said, how much cash flow are you looking for? That's an excellent question. Jamie is, ask him what is he going to do with the funds? Dean said, how much of the down payment are you looking for? Those are all excellent questions. Those are open-ended fact-finding questions. So here's what we did. Found out what the seller's looking to get, what they feel it's worth, and what they want the outcome to look like. Great. What is your outcome? Hey, Mr. Seller, you told me you want cash flow, monthly cash flow. You don't want to have to manage 5 different people, and you don't want to deal with the maintenance and management. Is that correct? Correct. Did they tell me they want their cash? No. They want cash flow, right? So here's the cool part. Here's what we ended up doing. We ended up buying the property for $186,500. We put 10% down. We had a 4.5% interest rate over 22 years. The reason we did 22 years is they didn't want a 30-year amortization, and I didn't want to do a 15-year amortization because that would eat up cash flow. So we came up with something in between. They came up with an alternative interest rate that I was fine with, and then we came up with the amortization schedule that worked well for them. So, calculator time. It's like the fourth quarter, guys, and there's like 6 minutes left between the Jazz and the Thuggets, and still no one was willing to bet me $500 on the Jazz game. So
are they playing right now?
They're playing today. Not sure when.
Okay, I thought you were saying they were playing right now. I'm like, get out of here.
Hold on, let's look. Are they playing right now? NU Jazz. Now started at 6:30. All right, they started at 6:30. See?
Who's winning?
Guess. We don't know. We're looking it up.
Okay. I was thinking about it.
It's halftime.
I was this close to giving you $10, man.
Well, I wanted $500. All right, I want to ante that up.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what we'll brainstorm for you guys with this. Ready? Case study. Purchase price $186,500. We gave him $18,600 down. It's a 4.5% interest rate over 22 years. The seller got $1,005 a month. We're renting it for $1,621. So let's make some assumptions with this. Did I give the seller what I wanted? Yep. Cash flow. How much cash flow did they want a month? $1,005. Right? You guys remember how much they were getting before? $22,275. So between super high utility bills with 5 adults, property taxes and insurance, that probably ate $600 a month for that many people taking showers, doing whatever, lawn maintenance because no one wants to mow the lawn, et cetera, et cetera. So if you take $22.75 down minus $600, gets you down to $16.75, and then you have to deal with 5 different adults in West Valley, Utah. Not a bad area, just it is what it is. And he's done dealing with it, right? So
Good afternoon, Mrs. Ford, Ethel. This is Jason at WGO. So I want to reach back out to you for a follow-up call.
Dude, was that Jason Frazier? Hold on. Hello, my name is Jason Frazier. I would like to call you on a follow-up call. If you would like to sell me the property for only 10% down and a 4.5% interest rate over 22 years, please give me a call back. Yeah, dude, I can appreciate the hustle. Okay, so let's exercise as we wrap this up. Decompression time. We shared a lot of tips. So Greta, is Greta still on here? Greta, this is when you go over closing the sell. Got it? So I already gave him alternatives with what he wanted. He or she gave me alternatives with what they were looking for. They could have given me alternatives and we came up with these numbers. Harry said, was the 18K more important than the 1,000 per month to the seller? It seems like they could have done the same as you did with a property manager. They wanted some cash and they wanted to be done managing the property, and they wanted monthly cash flow. They're retired. Good question. So we'll do rapid fire Q&A for a couple minutes. I'm going to have you guys write down your top question to ask. We are going to give you 30 seconds to ask the question, then I'm going to answer it. We're going to put you guys live on a hot seat. I think if we put you guys live on a hot seat, then this will be an outstanding exercise, and I'm literally going to go with whoever types in the question first in the tool chat bar. Okay, so type in the question. Then I'm going to, if you have a question, hopefully you guys have questions because this is a lot of content about how to negotiate with sellers. Who was the Dr. author you referred? All right, Greta, who was the Dr. author you referred? Dr. Kerry Johnson. Dr. Kerry Johnson. He wrote a book or an Audible. Dominic, if you can write he's one of his best sellers. We'll have our team send it out tomorrow. It's called How to Increase Your Business by 80% in 8 weeks. How to increase your business 80% in 8 weeks. Bryce, what is the best way to word a seller financing offer? What is the best way to word a seller financing offer? Great question. I'm going to be teaching more about that on Saturday, October 17th from 8 to 5 p.m. that you can learn all about creative financing and how that works. So it's going to be an 8-hour class in depth with me. We can only have 50 people due to COVID-19 2020 compliance. But that's an outstanding idea for you to learn how to deliver that information. That's a little more than a 2-minute answer. So there's the tools, Bryce, for you and your partner to come. Dean Anderson, can I use DOMS for sell scripts if I'm trying to wholesale our bird dog, or is there another script you would use? So great question. I think wholesaling and bird dogging is different. So Dean, if you're wanting to focus on wholesaling, that's different than if you want to focus on bird dogging. So unmute yourself for a minute. Type in some more questions, ladies and gentlemen. So type in some more questions, and we're going to unmute Dean real quick. Where'd he go? Did he leave? All right, Dean. So have you wholesaled the deal yet?
No, I haven't. I'm just trying to get started with it.
Good. Me too. I've never wholesaled. Sorry, I'm lying. I've never bird dogged a deal. High deal. I've only closed them myself or wholesale them. Okay, so let's focus on this first. So are you prospecting currently?
Yeah, I've been looking on like old listings on the MLS and doing a couple for sale by owners.
Okay, how much time per week are you actually making phone calls? Don't worry, Bryce, your hair looks good. Dean, how many hours a week are you making phone calls?
I've just barely gotten started like last week, so maybe I think I spent like a couple hours last week doing it.
So you did 2 hours of making phone calls?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What do you do for a living full time?
I'm an agent myself.
You're Asian or an agent?
Agent.
All right, just making sure. I was like, you look like the whitest Asian agent I've ever seen in my life. That's for Dan Liu. Hopefully he smiled. Okay, cool. So a couple ideas. Okay, Lord Vader. So a couple comments with that. Number one, I would block out 5 hours of calling a week I'd block it out in 2.5-hour increments. I would give yourself a 15-minute break in between each 60 minutes, probably 70 minutes, and here's the reason why. You're going to want to use a dialer. We use Mojo dialers here in our office. You're going to want to use a dialer. You're going to want to pull a script. You're going to want to focus on connections. Then as you focus on connections, your main outcome is to set appointments for yourself to chat with them for 15 minutes. We will email you the book, How to Increase Your Business by 80% in 8 weeks, because when you're doing that, you are wanting to just focus on having your RPCs, revenue producing call first, which you're having. Then you're going to have an opener, which will be your phone consultation appointment. I need you to focus on 100% Zoom meetings with them. Okay? Even if they can't see your face, you can't see their face, they can see your face. So if you're present for 15 minutes, it's going to help you get more engaged in getting those base hits. Then ideally, you're going to want to see their eyeballs so you can see, their different feedback. Say that again. And then with that, you're going to focus on really listings and properties for yourself to buy. Would you agree?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Good. That was a great question. Could you put the needs slide up again? I will. Yeah, I will in a second. Harry, for not sending negative feedback in writing, would you instead offer other options? Yes. What does an example sound like? Okay, so let me go to this example real quick. So how we got to the purchase price, $186.5. Ideally, I want to call them over the phone to have that conversation. I just don't want to share that with them and give them options. So what I would do is, let's say they're saying, I would actually, rather than typing an email and sending it, because sometimes things are misread or how we communicate with it, I actually would do a voicemail message with what we were thinking if we couldn't chat, so they could hear my voice with the different options. I'd give them 3 options of the 3 that they like. Tell me which one they'd want to modify or accept. I wouldn't even say accept. Tell me which one of these 3 you'd like to make modifications so we can help you move forward. Yes, Bryce, your hair still looks good. The point of bringing that up is as you're getting that feedback, Harry, then they're going to give you ideas with what to do. Like when we're talking to underwriters, dude, underwriters are not solution oriented. We have to give them options with how to satisfy the conditions, and then they'll email us back saying, okay, we can do this, or we can do this, or no, let's talk on the phone. So normally we're going to call those sellers, remember that PUTFP sign earlier, we're normally going to call those sellers, chat with them over the phone to get the outcomes that we're looking for. So good question. I'm going to go back to needs real quick. And here's a comment with this. Andrea. Oh, Andrea's jumping away to hang out with her kid. Oh, I love you too, little butler. All right, so needs. There you go, Greta. Andrea, what was your top takeaway from the day? Can you unmute yourself, or Dominic will unmute you? Andrea, the unmute is okay, perfect. What was your top takeaway, please?
Change the negative no into a neutral or positive statement. That would be my.
Good. I like that one. Dan Liu, what's your top takeaway, please? Lord Vader.
No, I like the alternatives besides saying, I don't know, have alternatives to say rather than using those to kind of shut them down.
Good. I like the alternatives. I'd ask Jordan Karchner, but he's driving, so I don't want him to get in a car accident. I don't want that liability on myself. You guys are all seeing this right now. He's going to go for it. Oh, Jordan, what was your top takeaway from this phone call?
I think finding out the 3 needs of people so that you can basically address those needs and then make a solution for them.
Good. I like that. The 3 needs is very, very important. Travis Fisher, what was your top takeaway, please?
Minor agreements lead to major decisions. I really like that.
Good. So I remember the first time, in my opinion, that I talked to you, Travis, you and your wife were on the phone. I was at a Sloria board retreat up in Heber. You were talking about how you wanted to get cash out or pay off your house and you wanted financial freedom, and I spent tons of time chatting. And the cool thing is, I'm sure you've had a lot of first-time conversations with people that you still talk to, but you probably don't remember all their first conversations like I do with you. The good skill that you're excellent at, and I would encourage all of you guys that are listening to this call, is as you pay attention to what people want, then you will make more money in life, right? And it's not necessarily all about the money, but I'm going to share a couple things that I learned from Keith Cunningham. Keith Cunningham wrote a book called The Road Less Stupid, okay? He is Rich Dad from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the original Rich Dad, if you guys did or did not know that. Keith Cunningham wrote a book called The Road Less Stupid. With chatting or listening to Keith, I've seen Keith present 4 times at Business Mastery and 4 seminars. So I've seen him 8 times face-to-face. I think he knows who I am. His staff definitely knows who I am because I'm always wearing shorts and I ask a lot of questions. So I want to share something with you. In 1990, Keith Cunningham lost $100 million in real estate deals, okay? That's catastrophic, $100 million. He tells this story every single time he speaks because it's not the money that's important, it's your psychology. If you guys want to write that down, it's not the money that's important, it's your psychology. The game of life is an interesting game to play. With my mom passing away and her life going away, I've really reevaluated what's important, right? A month ago tomorrow is when she passed away. With that, as we reevaluate our lives, Keith shared a couple things to have success just dealing with people. And I'm going to share this with you now as we wrap up. And it was so impactful. He's 70 years young. His day rate is $85,000 a day. That's what he charges to speak, okay? So FOWTW, this is for you, Dominic. FOWTW, find out what they want. So as we find out what you want, I believe everyone on this call that's still left, there's 20 people left, we've lost some. You guys all want financial freedom, you want to increase your cash flow, and you want to have a life of abundance. That's why we're on this call to live. We even got a Brit coming over to America because he wants the same thing too, right? GAGI, go out and get it. Go out and get it. So as we give solutions to real estate people that need cash, if we go out and give what the sellers want, we will create more life wealth for ourselves, right? So number 1, FOWTW, find out what they want. The next one is GAGI, go out and get it. The last one, GITT, give it to them. Give it to them. So as we go through the month of September, today is the first day of the 9th month in 2020. We're only going to do like the Spartacus in the year of our Lord, right? Matt Atkinson taught a seminar with you guys all listening to it. My suggestion or request or feedback for you is register for the class in creative financing from A to Z. On our website, we had our website designer go back and change it that you guys can save $800. So rather than it being $1,000, it's only $200 tonight. You can go online and register. I already know half you guys are on there. We can only have 50 people. So it's not like they're going to like, oh, do I want to show up or not unless they've asked ahead of time. But we want you guys to learn for 8 hours on then of how to put all this that you've learned together into practice yourself. Because as we focus on lifestyle, more money, freedom, then we're going to have the abundance that we're looking for. My last thing I've asked that all of you guys on here just do for me, please, is jump on Facebook. I'm super active in Facebook. I get a lot of feedback for helping people. Just type in what you learned today and tag 3 people for the call next month. I'm going to do these calls until the end of the year, and then I'm going to reevaluate. I'm not sure if I'm going to do these next year for free again, but I think I'm going to do a mastermind that can make this more engaging. What's up, Dan Lew's baby? So the point is, there's 20 people left. Jump on Facebook, type your top 3 takeaways, tag 3 people. Next month, we're going to talk about how to properly structure non-traditional financing for 2 hours. It'll be on October 6th, okay? So the biggest thing is actually taking action and implementing. So I appreciate all of you guys registering for tonight. I want you guys to save as much money as possible. I want you guys to be able to create more real estate deals, buy houses like I've shared with you, and I hope you guys all have an amazing evening. Thank you guys. Have a great night. Thanks. Bye-bye.